If you travel for work and you feel like airports completely derail your fat loss every single time, it's probably not because you lack willpower. I've helped hundreds of men who are constantly flying for work lose considerable amounts of weight, and none of them did it through perfect discipline or motivation. In this video, I'm going to show you the 20 simple nutrition guidelines that I use with all my clients, making staying on track feel easier. So you can stop every work trip turning into another excuse to just start again on Monday. We're going to go through 20 practical principles that you can implement immediately, from where to sit, where to eat, what to order, to avoiding boredom eating, handling delays, and just creating simple airport habits that become automatic over time. The goal isn't to have more willpower, it's to make the decisions that we have to inevitably make as easy as we possibly can. All right. And airports, they're literally designed for you to spend money, for you to have everything at your fingertips, and ultimately eat more than you ever planned or intended to. Yeah, so everywhere you look, there's coffee shops, bakeries, there's food on display, there's sweets, chocolate, alcohol, and you haven't got anything else to do, right? But the men that are consistently losing weight within the program whilst they travel, they're not more disciplined. They're just making a series of decisions that ultimately make the process as easy for them to stick to what they need to do. Yeah. So they simply just remove that temptation as much as they possibly can by having some tick boxes, a bit of a plan, and kind of knowing what to do. And over time, it starts to become just more automatic. So I've got 20 here in front of me. We're going to go through them. We're going to fly through them. I don't want this to go on and on. And, this is what I encourage the guys within the program to follow. So the first one, don't walk around looking at every food option. Don't torment yourself. Don't tease yourself. There is so much good food in an airport. And I was in Sydney Airport yesterday and I did exactly this. I wanted to get some food, and I looked. I did a loop about 3 times looking at all the food options, and I couldn't make my mind up. And there's just so much good stuff, and ultimately you're far more likely to make a poor decision if we put ourselves in that situation. Okay. The second principle: don't let your colleagues decide for you. So if you're traveling with people, with colleagues, with clients, with your boss, whoever it is, don't let them decide where you're going to go, because you're giving the control to them. And ultimately, if they're not, I keep saying ultimately, I apologize, but if they're not trying to make the same positive life changes that you are, likelihood is they're going to take you to somewhere that isn't going to make it as easy as it could be for you. All right. You can still sit with them. Of course, you can still enjoy the conversation and order something different, but your goals don't just disappear. They're not going to just stop when you step foot into wherever they take you, right? And if somebody else is ordering food that is really tempting you, is making the decisions difficult, then you're putting yourself in a position where you're more likely to make a bad decision. So take control of that situation and decide for you and the others you're with. Number 3, decide before you're hungry. Decide where you're going to get something from. Get something. We obviously don't have to eat it immediately, especially if it's like a bakery item. We don't have to eat it straight away. Get it before you're hungry, because if we leave it until we're hungry and we're seeing all this amazing food, then, we're more likely to give into kind of what our stomach is telling us to buy. Number 4, once you've got your food, stop browsing. Don't continue to tempt yourself. Get something, make a decision, purchase something. Don't keep wandering around with it in your hands. Buy it, sit down, move on. Continue to have a conversation, do some work, whatever that looks like. Number 5, stay away from the bakery and dessert displays. I'm telling you, in Sydney, this is what big one I put this in. I was in Sydney Airport yesterday, and the displays of food And I am a big believer in, like, it always looks better than it actually ends up tasting, right? All of these bakery items, especially in airports, but it just looks so good. And it's literally everywhere you look. It's like a horror film and you're like, dun, dun, dun. It's like, it's everywhere, okay? And just like avoid that as much as you can. Number 6, don't kill time around food. If we know we've got an hour to kill, if we know we've got some time we need to waste until our flight or until we get called to the gate, don't wander around the food court. Don't position yourself in the food court. Do some work. Watch something. Call a friend. Speak to your colleagues. Plan a meeting. Listen to a podcast. Read a book. Whatever that is, occupy your brain with something other than food. Okay? Keep yourself busy. Number 7, remember you're traveling for work. This is not holiday. We haven't taken our foot off the gas. Our walls haven't come down, and we shouldn't be relaxed and in holiday mode. You don't need this full, complete airport experience that you may feel like you want or should have when you're going on holiday. Yeah? Treat it like another normal work day. You're just simply passing through. This is the commute. Okay? Number 8, ask yourself, would I even eat this at home? If it's not something that I potentially would make at home or I would purchase in the supermarket to make at home, like, just because there's all these a million options available, it doesn't mean we have to push the boat out and go for something extravagant. It's like if we're somebody who always is out having client dinners, always out eating with colleagues, like, we're in that situation so often that every now and then having something a bit different and pushing the boat out, maybe we're at a new restaurant, a new country, but like, because we do it so regularly, we want to, like we would at home, like when you're at home, you probably have I've had the same breakfast for like every day for the last year when I've been at home, so stick to what you know, stick to familiar dishes and meals. You don't need to try everything under the sun. Pick something that, is close to that version of the things you're having at home, what you'd normally eat. Number 9, keep your order boring. Ultimately, if we keep it simple, the fewer ingredients, the better, because there's less likely to be something in there that could spike the calories, maybe without us being aware. You don't need that loaded breakfast sandwich with all these different things. Yeah, reliability wins, and to keep things more reliable, we want to simply reduce the possibility of something kind of containing something that we're not aware of how many calories that could contain. All right, so keep things simple, consistent. It's easier to then track, and we'll have a better idea of kind of where we're at post that meal. Number 10, we're nearly halfway through. Make your first purchase a drink. This is huge. Okay, so when you're in the airport, even if you're a little bit hungry, you're going to have some food, like, just delay that a little bit. Have a drink first. Go buy a drink, sit with the drink, enjoy the drink, fill your stomach with a little bit of volume. It means when we come to eat, we're gonna, not only are we gonna slightly delay that serious hunger where we feel like we need to eat now, we will, when we come to that meal, we'll have more volume in our stomach and therefore won't necessarily be able to eat as much, or we'll get full quicker. Water is obviously ideal. Diet sodas are absolutely fine. Satisfy your sweet tooth. It's fizzy, so it's going to, again, help you give you that sensation of being full. Black coffee or coffee in general, as long as we take into account calories that come from the milk or sweeteners, sugar, syrups, sorry, if you are someone who gets that. But generally 0 calorie drinks. Yeah, sparkling water is a great one as well, because again, that fizziness gives us a sensation of being a bit more full. And having something to sip often, having something to just occupy our hand, occupy our mouth, that sound Did a bit weird. um, it often just removes that urge to immediately have some food. Okay, go after some food. Number 11. Don't buy snacks just in case you might need them or you might be hungry. All right, because if you actually get hungry, then purchase a snack, purchase a sensible snack. But if we're buying it in the anticipation of maybe being hungry later, and there's a line to walk here, right? If we're going to be in a situation or environment, a place where making a good decision might be very difficult, we might just have a service station to go off, or we might just have fast food places. Having sensible snacks on us will probably be a sensible move. However, if we're buying snacks and we know we've got this meal coming up, or when our next meal is, or we know we're in a place where we can buy snacks when we need it, quite often, and from experience with the guys I'm working with, quite often we end up eating those snacks before we actually need them. Before we actually are hungry enough to say, right, let's have a snack right now. And so buying snacks for emergencies, ultimately they turn into simply like having them before you actually need them. Number 12, coffee doesn't automatically require food, right? Coffee and cake is not a thing, all right? It's not a thing. It's not like a God-given rule. It's not one of the 10 commandments. Like, coffee can simply be coffee, right? And it's a great tool because caffeine suppresses your appetite. Black coffee, is virtually no calories. It tastes good, and it provides you with some volume in your stomach. We need to break that association with having cake or a pastry or something with the coffee. Okay. Number 13. Number 13. Drink before you eat. Again, similar to what I mentioned before, if you have a drink first, you've just got extra volume in your stomach, and naturally we're going to feel full quicker. Okay? So for many people, those fizzy 0-calorie drinks are a really, really good tool to use, and they're especially filling. They make you feel a bit more full. Number 14, sit away from the food court. Okay? Find a spot in the terminal that, where you can sit, that hasn't got a load of temptation like in your face. Take yourself away, find a place by the gate, maybe up the other end of the terminal, wherever it is. There's going to be places that aren't food. Okay? If you have time to kill, just don't put yourself in that situation. An hour sat surrounded by food, that food noise is going to be going crazy. Okay? So just remove yourself from that altogether. Go to your gate, find somewhere quieter. Like, the less visual temptation, but also the smells, that kind of temptation, usually the better decisions we're going to make. Number 15, know when your next meal is. This is huge. If you don't know when you're eating next, your brain's going to be constantly thinking about food, wondering when it's getting its next food, and it's going to be constantly on the search, and you're going to be thinking about it. Have that meal planned. Know roughly the time where you're going to go. Have an idea of when your next meal is, whether that is at the hotel when you arrive, whether that is you're going to go into town and find a restaurant when you arrive in the destination before heading to the hotel, whether that is going to be a lunch in the office in which you're kind of going to, you're traveling to, whatever that is, whether that is through in a service station on the journey from where you're arriving to where you need to be. Have an idea of when that next meal is coming, because knowing that food is already organized and planned, it removes the unnecessary anxiety and grazing and just picking at things. Okay, it's much harder when we've got a physical goal, a physical point in time that we're trying to hold off until, or we're trying to be disciplined and remain kind of in control until this point. Then it's kind of just non-existent, and we're trying to work out when things are, and just going kind of like in the moment. We're just living in the moment, if you know what I mean. Hopefully I described that okay. Number 16, don't add extra meals just because you can, right? Just because we're traveling, our day might be a bit longer, it looks very different to a normal day in the office or a normal day at home. Don't go like mixing up your day's kind of meal structure, how you would normally eat at home if you're a person who simply just has 3 meals a day, or you have 3 meals and an afternoon snack. Maybe you're not somebody who has breakfast, you have a mid-morning snack at lunch and dinner. Like, if you're traveling, don't, just because you have all this on offer, don't do something completely different. Do it exactly the same. Stick to that structure, be consistent. It just removes decisions that we potentially might not make positive ones with. You know, the coffee shop, a pastry, a snack here and there, like a free sample, airport lunch, snack on the plane, like it just throws everything out of whack. And as soon as that consistency we've built, that we've been striving to build when we're at home and when we're away, because it just helps build momentum, as soon as that starts to crumble away, it makes it very difficult to get back on track, especially when we're in different environments. So aim roughly just to eat the same number of meals and snacks you would when you're at home. Okay. Number 17, have an airport anchor meal. This should be, and not even should be, it's easy. Like, it's so easy to have, because I can guarantee that the airport that you always fly out of, like, it's going to be the same one virtually all the time. So you know exactly what restaurants and shops are in this airport, and you know exactly if you need to have a meal at that airport. There is this that I enjoy, that over time or through using their website or whatever it looks like, I know that I can have this meal and it's this many calories pretty much, and it's roughly got this amount of protein. Order the same thing. You can have 2 or 3 options, but save them then in your food tracking app and just rinse and repeat. If you enjoy them, like, why would you not? Why do you have to push the boat out and get something different? Ultimately, remember, I'm not saying never do that again, but we're trying to lose weight here. We're trying to change our lifestyle. We're trying to improve the way that we manage our real life and our work life. And so why are we not making it easy for ourselves? So for example, like at a Mexican place, it might be like a burrito bowl, you know, and you can get the same things each time. It might be a wrap or a sandwich or some sushi from one of the kind of bakeries or from one of the kind of WH Smith style shops. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to know roughly what's in it so we can continue to be aware and track our stuff. Number 18, don't let delays become an excuse. Delays are dangerous, right? And a client of mine, Will, the other day actually said that he was delayed, and Chris actually. They were both delayed in the last week, and they like felt so good when they arrived home, and they didn't let that delay throw their kind of diet, nutrition, their goals out the window. They stayed strong. They used a couple of tactics like making sure they stay hydrated, picking up a kind of snack of some sort that was going to really fill them up, and not provide like that many calories, but also just staying strong, making the right decision, understanding why you're making this decision. So for example, have a kind of little routine, and I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail in another video that I'm going to make on exactly what to do when you get delayed to try and kind of keep yourself on track. But for an example, first thing, if you get delayed, first thing you should do is get up and move. Okay, set a timer on your watch, on your phone, for 15 minutes minimum. Any more, like, awesome, and just walk and get some movement in. Make the most of that time. Second thing, refill your bottle. Buy another drink. Buy some extra fluids. Okay. The longer time we spend with our hands and our mouth occupied, again, anyone who's watching this with a dirty mind, you can tune off now, it is going to make things easier, right? Next thing would be move away from the food court. Next thing would be keep yourself busy, do some work. There's always something on your to-do list, whether it is work-based or whether it's personal life. Like, there's always going to be things you can do, always life admin. So get something done, tick something off, and only eat if you're really hungry. But I'm going to go into that in a lot more detail on how I go about things when I get delayed at the airport in another video. So stay tuned for that. Comment or DM me the word delay on Instagram at Jacob Connock Coach, and I will send you the link to that video. Number 19, focus on one decision at a time. All right. Don't stress about the entire day. Don't stress about what could be. Don't stress about all the things that could go wrong. Just make the next decision and make it a good one. Make it a positive one. And then just repeat that time and time again as often as we can. All right. We're only human. We're not going to make perfect decisions 100% of the time. But if we can just focus all our energy and attention onto that first and decision in the moment, then we're giving ourselves a much better chance. All right. And number 20, remember what airports are designed to do. They're designed to encourage you to spend money. Yeah. You're putting yourself and you're trapping yourself in a cave of money, food, entertainment, the smells, the displays, the convenience, the marketing, everything is in your face. And as a man who is in that environment regularly because of their job, you're up against it. You really are. So don't expect yourself to be perfect all of the time. However, knowing that you've overcome these additional challenges that the majority of people won't ever have to kind of comprehend on a weight loss journey, and anywhere near as regularly as you do, then it will feel that much better, right? And if you can handle this and continue to be consistent and make good decisions in this environment, you can do it in any. Trust me, you can do it in any, all right? None of it exists, none of anything in the airport other than the free water fountains exists to make it easy for you to stay on track, all right? And recognizing that makes it much easier to avoid getting kind of pulled into all of the temptations that an airport has, all right? So just a couple of final thoughts. Like the men who successfully travel for work regularly, spend a lot of time in airports and lose weight aren't the ones who have the most motivation, They're the guys that just kind of simplify everything. They remove, the temptation as much as they can, and they just try and make it as easy as they can for themselves, all right? And just continue to do that over months and over years, and ultimately you'll slowly chip it away at your goals, and you'll make the progress, all right? I know that was a lot. That was 20 things, but even just to start with, pick 2 or 3. Write them on your phone, have them kind of there, check them as you're heading to the airport, refresh them in your mind when you are in the terminal, set an alarm, label the alarm as these tasks maybe, or as a couple of words to remind you of it. Set that alarm to go off when you're in the terminal, do little things to remind you. Write it on the back of your hand on the morning before you go to the airport, whatever it is. But you don't need to be perfect. We just need to try and introduce some systems that make this as easy as we can for ourselves. So if you have found that helpful, then please do subscribe, comment down below any things you feel like I've missed. But also, if you want to know a bit more about getting some help with your work travel and achieving your health and fitness goals that maybe you've struggled with for a long time, then there's a link in the description below. You can click through to that, watch a quick video on kind of what I do and how I help my clients, and can book a call if you would like, or message me on Instagram at Jacob Connock Coach, and we can have a chat about your work travel, what that looks like, and potentially see whether I can help you in any way. I appreciate you watching this. I appreciate you listening. wherever you are listening from, and I will catch you guys in the next one.